I'm Tyler, and this is the Oracle Sportscast. As you can see, I'm all alone today, and that's okay because the show has to go on. There's no Ella Fox, but we're going to keep moving. Let's go ahead and jump right into the recap from this past Saturday. Western Illinois defeated Tennessee Tech 37-21 on the road. For Tech, offensively, we'll go ahead and start out with that. It was just, the main storyline was Dylan Leibel. He came back. He's back from injury since game one. We've not seen him since game one. He came back, and it's obvious that the offense functions a little bit different with Leibel in the game. It appears to me like Leibel is the coaching staff's guy. Not to discredit anything about Jordan Potts. It just seems like that's their guy. That's their guy all along. They started him against MTSU, and now he's back, so they started him this past Saturday. I had no idea he was going to start. I had forgotten about him. I knew that he was hurt. I didn't know the time slot of him coming back, but he started on Saturday, played decent. He threw 2 interceptions that were costly, but he threw for over 260 yards and had a touchdown to Hunter Barnhart, who that's the first time he's scored all year. So that's nice to see. You love to get the big tight end involved. But like I said, keeping it on the offensive side of the ball, Tennessee Tech had a hard time getting the run game going, and I think partially that's due to them being behind in the football game. When you're behind by 2 or 3 scores, it's hard to get an established run game going. You need to throw the ball to get back in the game, and I think that's kind of where the coaching staff's headspace was in Western Illinois. Towards the end of the first half, it was 17-14 Western Illinois, so it was a pretty close ball game. And then Western Illinois scored back-to-back touchdowns to make it 31-14. And after that, it was just hard to get a good established run game going on the ground because they just needed to get quick scores and get back in the ball game. But like I said, Leibel threw for over 260 yards, so he had a pretty good evening as far as efficiency, but he did throw those 2 costly interceptions. On the ground, in the run game, we saw Jalen Mitchell have 7 carries for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns. 68 of those yards were on one play, so that was nice to see him have a pretty good evening. However, like I said, the run game just was not established throughout the game because of them being in the deficit all game long. In the second half, the defense was able to force a turnover, but the offense wasn't able to do anything with it. It was Miles Parker who recovered the fumble, so that was good to see. The defense is still forcing turnovers and making big plays on that side of the ball. But offensive turnovers early really hurt Tennessee Tech in this ball game. So in the end, it was just not enough. 37-21 final score. So that pretty much does it. But it's an interesting storyline, like I said, from Dylan Leibel. What does the coaching staff do moving forward? Do you start him again Saturday against Charleston Southern? Do you put Potts back in because Leibel kind of struggled a little bit in the game? It'll be interesting to see how they go about that. Personally, I think these next 2 weeks are huge for Tennessee Tech, just because there's 2 winnable games approaching. You have Charleston Southern at home, and then you got Lindenwood at home, which is homecoming. Regardless of that, these are 2 winnable games and 2 games that you need to win if you want to finish strong, like we talked about last week on the podcast. If you want to finish strong, they could improve their record to 4-2 in the conference if they were to win both of these games. So that would be huge. It would just look a lot better than 2-4, obviously. So these next 2 games, I won't say they're season defining, but they're pretty dang close. So it's important that Tech gets a win in at least one, if not definitely both of these next 2 games. But like I said, it's interesting to see what does Coach Wilder and this offensive staff do at the quarterback position, because you've got 2 completely different players. You've got Leibel, who is pretty smart with his decision making. He likes to stay in the pocket. He likes to deliver passes and try to carve up the defense. He's got a good arm, good accuracy. But on the flip side of that, you've got Jordan Potts, who gives you more athleticism. He can extend plays. He just got 2 completely different football players. One of them is a little bit older and played a little bit more football. The other one played here last year. So it's a tough decision moving forward. I wouldn't want to have to be the one to make it. Do they go the Florida quarterback route when Graham Mertz was still healthy? Do you go 2 quarterbacks and you play both guys? It's just a lot to be seen with the quarterback position moving forward for Tennessee Tech. We'll see how they handle it this Saturday against Charleston Southern. Like I said, it's a conference game, a big game for Tennessee Tech. They need to win the game, as simple as that. So it's just been kind of conference woes here ever since we started out 2-0. But I think they can get the momentum going back again. What I'm interested in seeing this Saturday and for the rest of the season, like we talked about last week, can we get a run game going? And that has to be established early and often. As everybody knows, it's huge if you can run the football against the other team. That just makes it so much easier to win the football game. We have a lot of different running backs who can carry the football, and if they were to put Potts in and he's your guy, then he's another element that you can add to the run game as well. I would like to see some guys like Jordan Yates and Tramel Jones get the ball out in space, on the ground, in the air, through the air, however the play gets designed. It would be nice to see those playmakers get out in space and make a little bit of a play for you in the future and for the rest of the season offensively. But like I was saying, getting a run game established early and often is going to be huge this Saturday and moving forward for every single game for Tennessee Tech. Can you get the run game going early? Can you get it going with Jalen Mitchell, with Obisani, when all your different running backs that you have and you like to give the football to? Can you get that going? Can we see what we saw against TSU and against Gardner-Webb on the ground? Had over 200 yards against TSU, over 300 yards against Gardner-Webb. If you can get that again, your chances of winning are going to be increased exponentially for sure. So it'll be interesting to see if Tech's able to do that. Another guy I want to talk about briefly, again, he played another good game. DJ Lincolns, he continues to shine. He had seven catches for 84 yards. He's a guy that this staff really trusts now, and he's really established himself as that wide receiver one, so that's pretty good. Other players like Ashton Maples, Jordan Yates, Tramel Jones, those guys need to get more involved as it progresses. But like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what they do at that quarterback position. You know, you got two completely different players there, and they each got their own different skill sets. So we'll have to see what Tennessee Tech does with that. Like I said, they've got a home game this Saturday against Charleston Southern. That's going to be a big game for Tennessee Tech. Then they have another home game the week after that. It's going to be homecoming against Lindenwood. Like I said earlier, both games are just, you need to win both games if you're Tennessee Tech to finish strong. But that seems to be all the time we have for you today. Thank you for watching and listening to this edition of the Oracle Sportscast. I'm Tyler Payne, and I'll see you in the next episode.